I'm creating a playlist, Naturalist Legends who shaped our avian heritage, to celebrate India's ornithological trailblazers and their legacy. You will find some of them in this collage. Several birds are named after this naturalist to recognize their contribution to ornithology. And in this series, I'm trying my best to introduce them to you. This episode is dedicated to Houghton Hodgson. Total 11 birds are named after him. There are 5 birds containing Hodgson in their common name: Hodgson's hawk-cuckoo, Hodgson's frogmouth, Hodgson's tree creeper, Hodgson's redstart, white-throated bushchat, earlier called Hodgson's bushchat. 6 birds containing Hodgsoni or Hodgsoni or Hodgsonie as species name in their scientific or binomial name, like broad-billed warbler Tichelia hodgsoni, pygmy flycatcher Phacidula hodgsoni, olive-backed pipit Anthus hodgsoni, speckled wood pigeon Columba hodgsoni, grey-breasted Prinia hodgsoni, Tibetan partridge Pardix hodgsoniae. Pardon me if I am pronouncing it incorrectly. Houghton Hodgson was one of the extraordinary naturalists of 19th century. He did a leading job in drawing bird images, often with habitats and nests, which greatly helped others to learn more about these birds. However, his biggest contribution was to document birds and animals of Himalaya along with its people, culture and natural history. Based on this pioneering work on Himalayan birds, Mark Cocker and Carolyn Skip named their book on life and work of Hodgson as a Himalayan Ornithologist, which I have also used in this episode title. I strongly recommend this book to anyone who is interested to know more about Hodgson. Interestingly, because of his strict vegetarian diet, he acquired the nickname Hermit of the Himalayas. Hodgson was born in England on 1st February 1801 at Lower Beach, Prestbury, Cheshire. He was the second of 7 children of Hodgson and Catherine. He was a good student and an athlete. He excelled at study of languages. He learned Sanskrit and Persian, which made a profound impact on the study he did later on, and one may notice detailed writing in Devanagari font in his drawing and field notes. He graduated at the top of his batch from Haileybury College in Hertfordshire at the age of 17. He was nominated for Bengal Civil Service by the East India Company Director James Pattison, who was known to his family. He was then appointed a civil servant with the East India Company in Calcutta, India, as a writer. After a few years in Calcutta, he moved to Kathmandu, Nepal, as Assistant Commissioner in the Kumaon region. His ill health also made him prefer hills like Nepal and thereafter Darjeeling. He will always be remembered for the work he did in describing the birds and mammals of Nepal, where he spent 23 years between 1820 to 1843 and covered impressive 75% of Nepal's birds. Since it covered a significant part of common Himalayan bird of India, it greatly helped in documentation of Indian hill birds as well. He also enriched the mammalogy of Nepal through his pioneering work and books. He had little access to libraries or published literature in that remote area of Nepal, often leading to descriptions of several species that had already been done earlier but not known to him. Though he described speckled wood pigeon first, but due to the delay in sharing this with authorities, the credit went to another naturalist. As an East India Company diplomat, he was greatly successful in collaborating with local people and leaders of Nepal. His tenure in Nepal is nicely described in the book Prisoner of Kathmandu, Houghton Hodgson in Nepal, 1820-43 by Charles Allen. Another great book written right after his death in 1896 by W. Hunter, named The Life of Houghton Hodgson, can also be read to know more about him. In 1832, he encountered a species towering non-human covered from head to toe in dark hair in Nepal High Himalayas, which he described in his article in the Journal of the Asiatic Society of Bengal, thereby fueling the speculation about the existence of Yeti. Readers who are fascinated by Yeti can do more research on this to more about the story. He then left his East India Company job and went back to England. He came back to India again after 2 years with the purpose of scientific study. He then spent 13 years in Darjeeling, India from 1845 to 1858. Brian Hodgson's house in Darjeeling, named Bryanstone, is still there in existence and is now the rectory of St. Paul's School, Darjeeling. Between the years 1828 to 1857, he wrote over 200 papers, an average of one in every 7 weeks for 30 years. In 1832, Hodgson wrote the first catalogue of mammals. However, Hodgson's legacy is the drawing of pictures of mammals and birds. He laid 1076 drawings of birds, which were termed as Birds of India, and another 600 sheets of mammals called Mammals of India. He taught local artists how to paint geological illustrations using watercolors, and it led to a treasure of visual documentation of so many species. Rajman Singh Chitrakar was the top of this group. Hodgson's wife, Anne Scott, was also a decent artist. He was a pioneer in this field. He used to supplement these pictures with annotations of the location the bird was seen, its behavior, and measurements in length and weight, thereby making it a great reference. Viewers would be astonished to see the extent of details he provided in those early years of ornithology. He described many species for the first time. Interestingly, some of these annotations were done in Sanskrit or Devanagari font. He was perhaps among the few ornithologists in the region to incorporate local names into his proposed binomial names. His manuscripts are there in Zoological Society of London, and viewers can see digital copy of the same. We can compare today's distribution to what Hodgson's described to understand how bird population has changed in last 200 years. However, his greatest contribution perhaps was that he not only described new species but also their behavior at a time when field studies were ignored. This is highlighted by Cocker and Inskip in their book. For instance, he not only collected specimens of the Tibetan antelope or chiru but also made notes on their herding behavior. He noted black eagle's very small outer toe and claw, believed to be adapted for nest robbing. He described black-shouldered kite as the large eyes are suited for hunting. Its flight is agile and silent, aided by its long wings and soft plumage. Commonly it is seen skimming the cultivation, occasionally posing itself on the wings for the purpose of getting a distincter view of some mouse, small bird or insect which has starred on its beak and upon which, when clearly perceived, it stoops perpendicularly with the speed of lightning. He described courtship of Bengal florican. Hodgson was interested in local research of the flora and fauna, and it was quite clear that he did not enjoy the fact that most of the ornithological expertise based only on skeins and no field knowledge. He observed, whilst the face of our land is darkened with skin hunters, deputed by learned societies to encumber science with ill-ascertained species, no English Zoological Association has a single travelling naturalist in India. Charles Darwin made a very long comment about him which is worth reading or listening to. He trained Indian artists to paint birds with extreme accuracy from a scientific point of view, and under his careful supervision, admirable large-scale pictures were produced, not only of all the new species above referred to, but also of several hundred other already recorded ones, and in many cases of their nests and eggs also. These were continually accompanied by exact life-size pencil drawings of the bills, nasal orifices, legs, feet and claws, the scutellation of the tarsi and toes being reproduced with photographic accuracy and minuteness, and of the arrangement of the feathers in crests, wings and tails. Then on the back of the plates was preserved an elaborate record of the colors of the irids, bare facial skin, wattles, legs and feet, as well as detailed measurements, all taken from fresh and numerous specimens of males, females and young of each specimen, and over and above all this, invaluable notes as to food ascertained by dissection, nidification and eggs, station, habits, constituting as a whole materials for a life history of many hundred species, such as I believe no one ornithologist had ever previously garnered. What a comment, and that too from a person like Charles Darwin. Hodgson has trained hunters to collect specimens. He collected 9,512 specimens covering 672 bird species. Hodgson described 80 of these bird species and rest were done by his contemporary naturalist. He also discovered 39 species of mammals and 124 species of birds which had not been described previously. The zoological collections presented to the British Museum by Hodgson in 1843 and 1858 contained 10,499 specimens and 1,241 sheets of written observations. The list of wild birds maintained by Frank Gill, Pamela Rasmussen and David Donskar on behalf of the International Ornithological Committee credits Hodgson as the authority for 29 genera and 77 species. His first ornithological paper appeared in 1829 describing the huge rufous-necked hornbill which inhabits the northeastern hill forests. His studies were recognized by Royal Asiatic Society and the Linnean Society. He was elected a Fellow of the Royal Society. The Zoological Society of London sent him their diploma as a corresponding member. The Société Asiatique de Paris and Museum de Histoire Naturelle also honored him. Oxford University conferred an honorary doctorate upon him. Hodgson's thousands of zoological paintings are divided between the Zoological Society of London (ZSL) and the British Museum of Natural History and are accessible in digital forms for viewers. He left India in 1858. He married Anne Scott in the British Embassy at The Hague. She died in 1868. In 1870, he married Susan Townsend of Derry. He died at his home on Dover Street in London on 23rd May 1894 at the age of 93 years. He was one of the longest living and acting ornithologists across all time. He was buried at Alderley Churchyard in Gloucestershire. Let me conclude the video with another quote from Charles Darwin about Brian Hodgson. Hodgson combined much of Blyth's talent for a classification with much of Jardin's habit of preserving personal observation and excelled the latter in literary grips and minute and exact research. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. Please check the playlist Naturalist Legends Who Shaped Our Avian Heritage for similar videos to celebrate India's ornithological trailblazers and their legacy. Thanks for watching.